Ihr müsst sagen, wie laut es ist.
Das darfst du noch lauter, ne?
Ich darf noch lauter sprechen.
Nee, du redest ganz normal.
Aber ihr müsst es noch lauter machen. I got the sign. Welcome everyone, it's a great pleasure to be here tonight for the big pitch event of Skinnovation 2022. Welcome also to our online guests who are following us the live stream. What a great day, blue sky, perfect conditions, great slopes, more than 100 participants, a lot of startups, investors, VCs, and business angels, entrepreneurial enthusiasts. What a great start. We've spent a fabulous day with exciting talks, lunch tables about NFTs. We talked about conscious leadership, new works. We got some great examples how to acquire, how to convince business angels. We talked about corporate happiness. And we had some very exciting lift pitches, and we will see who made it in the final. And we will see 4 great startups in a second. Let me first introduce you the jury members. We have here Birgit Ströbel. She's an experienced entrepreneur, new work facilitator, and the founder of the Founders Fight Club. And I read about Birgit and I heard she's supporting people to achieve something very special. Welcome. Our second jury member, Svenja Lassen, we have heard already a nice talk today. She's the managing director at Prime Crowd with a very strong focus on female and impact investment. And your goal is you want to have 25% of women in the startup ecosystem until 2025. Katrin told me we already have more than 50% of investors here at Skinnovation. So thank you, Katrin, for achieving this. We have Alex Koll here. Thank you for hosting us here in the Werkstätte Wattens. He is the CEO of the Werkstätte Wattens, where a lot of tremendous and most successful startups of Tirol are based. He's also part of the Alpine Tech Hub, which especially focus on startups with innovative solutions for Alpine regions. Thank you, Alex, for being here. So how is the procedure? It's not just Birgit, Svenja, and Alex who are voting, so also all the Skinnovators, all the participants can vote. So it's 50-50%. So how can you vote? Please all check your WhatsApp, take out your cell phones, and there you can find the link. And here you should also vote. Each startup has 3 minutes, and afterwards we have 3 minutes of Q&A with the jury, so it's then your task to also challenge the startups. And what is the winners going to get? We have 2 tickets for Skinnovation for the next year's Skinnovation event, and we have a very cool and awesome backpack with a drinking system which was sponsored by the Israeli company Source Plus. Thank you for this. We had 10 startups pitching in the lift, and it was about sports, technology, health, mobility, energy. So a very broad spectrum here. And we have 4 finalists. Who are the 4 finalists? Let me introduce you the first startup who is going to pitch. It's called Whipper.
Thank you.
And after the 3 minutes, the jury is going to ask you a couple of questions. The stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So nice to meet in person again. We are Weeper Vertical Parking. I'm David, co-founder, and I brought you a picture from today. And I think we can all agree that this space is not used well, and it's not sustainable. We are an enabler for real estate companies, and we help them solve the parking problem with our space-efficient, sustainable, and flexible solution. There are three challenges for real estate companies in the world. They have to prove of parking space, which is mandatory by law for each newly built apartment. There's a problem with underground parking, which is very bad for the environment. Vipa actually emits 98% less CO2 emissions than a parking spot in an underground garage. And third, the sustainability, which is becoming more and more important, especially in this business. So let's rethink parking. Our product is a rotary parking system. It creates 12 parking spots out of 2 conventional ones. The footprint is like 35 square meters. We can build and dismantle it in just 5 days. It's made in Germany. We have a partner which I will introduce to you later. And what's even more interesting and important to us is what's happening inside of the tower. So we do not have your personal car inside of the tower, but we plan to have bikes, cargo bikes, scooters, charge it, provide a digital infrastructure, and also work with the envelope of our vertical parking. It can be greening, it can be a photovoltaic system, or it can be used for advertisement. And in the end, we want to build mobility hubs. Our first pilot project, though, brings us back to real estate. In this case, you can see that we were an enabler for a real estate company in Germany to build 3 newly much-needed apartments. And we provided the parking spaces and prevented them from building an underground garage, which would have been more expensive and 98% worse for the environment. Our advantages in those cases are we are space and cost efficient, we are sustainable, and we are flexible. And in the end, and I think that's the bottom line, we enable them and the projects can be done, and the much needed living room in Germany or in the DACH region here can be solved. You can ask questions about the team later because we're running out of time. However, we have partners for mechanical engineering, we have partners for operations, we are part of the Unternehmertum network. But what's really important to us is today we solve the parking space, which is space efficient, sustainable, and flexible. And in the future, we want to build urban mobility hubs with car sharing, micromobility, charging infrastructure, and logistics. And as a last slide, we started 1 year ago in February. We finished our seed investment, and now we will build our first tower close to Munich in May this year, and we'll do 3 to 5 projects this year. Thank you very much for listening to us, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, great pitch. Now it's time for the first questions.
Thanks a lot, great pitch. What is your business model behind it, and who are your main customers?
The business model right now is project-based. However, in the near future, we want to be operator of those towers. So cities come to us and they give us a space, and we operate it and solve the charging and the parking for them.
So cities would be customers?
Yeah, in the future, and I think this is the biggest market, but right now it's real estate companies and in Germany Wohnbaugesellschaften.
Alex.
Do you already have talked to, I assume you have talked to a lot of real estate agencies. What do they think about that they lose space for flats up above ground for parking? It might be more sustainable, but what do they say to that?
So we are a use case for them if they need to, so they have to provide parking space, and what they did what they're doing right now is they build underground garages because then they have the space, as you explained. But in certain cases it's too expensive. And really the sustainability aspect with the 98% I talked about is so important to them that they say, okay, this tower, we can have the small footprint of 35 square meters, and those additional parking spots helps them to build higher apartments and more apartments. So that's why they're interested in us. But it's like projects between 10 and 80 parking spots which are needed. Larger projects are not interesting at this moment.
Birgit.
Yes. What would be your market entry strategy?
This is really hard to answer for us because we had so many niches where we went. First was hospitals, and market entry right now is pretty simple because we won a prize in the German housing Wohnbaugesellschaften, and we get inbound leads for every week. So they want to talk to us, and that's like the market entry, and we will do those pilot projects now, 3 to 5 this year, and then I think we boost up marketing.
Something about the background in your team. So where are you coming from and how long are you working together?
So me and Simon, my co-founder, we were colleagues in our job before, which is consulting, so we both have a business background. Then we had a mechanical engineering co-founder. He left us, and so right now, and this was on this slide actually, we're looking for a CTO right now. So we need people from mechanical engineering and from civil engineering. However, we can do those 3 to 5 projects with our team because we have the partners. Like we have the mechanical engineering company in Germany, and we have the Bauunternehmen close to Munich as well. So we can deliver those projects without technical people, but no innovation, or no real innovation so far. And of course, Philip, our employee number 1, right?
How expensive is it to start this business?
For us or for a customer?
For you.
It's not really cost at all because we have a contract with our manufacturer. So if a customer says he wants a tower, then they build it, and we did the product development together, but they had the costs, and the IP comes to us. It was a pretty good deal for us, actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much for presenting Wepar. Maybe there's a CTO among us, so...
Or someone knows someone, yeah?
Someone knows someone. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And we will go to the second startup who made it into the final round among the 4. We have Limi. It's about a sustainable baby brand.
Thanks. I have a question to ask you. Have you ever wondered how many baby accessories does a newborn baby need? When I became a mom, I was shocked. Parents have to buy about 100 items to prepare for the baby, spend an average 7,000 euros in the first months, or even more if they look for quality. But baby products are only used for a short time, and in 6 to 9 months quickly become waste. 11,000 tons of plastic and textile waste is generated in Europe within a year, only from potties, bathtubs, and burp textiles. What if we could give a second life to our baby products and there's no need to say goodbye to them? If we could repurpose and continue to use them? This is what we do. Due to multifunctionality,
staying at home, they don't like hospitals. So from a patient's perspective, it's clear you want to be at home. However, also from a health economy perspective, next slide. Going home, not staying at the hospital brings advantages because a hospital stay is expensive. And further, hospital beds are only limited because during pandemic we saw there are not enough hospital beds available. And especially in countries with high pressure on the healthcare system, we already see a large growing home infusion market like US or Australia or UK. So why don't we see more OPAT, outpatient parental antibiotic treatment out there? Because current systems on the market have major limitations. So you need to have a product in solution, and our device simply allows, you only need to click in a cassette, press the start button, and then the device itself delivers the solution. So the main market is US, and we don't have any direct competition available because the single products are offered by various companies, and this gives us a big market advantage. Our business case model is we want to sell the cassettes and give away the pumps for free or even for price margin. And overall the market, the cumulative 10-year sales in the US, it's a $3.8 billion US market, so highly interesting market and interesting also for pharmaceutical companies to enter. Where are we in our development stage? So we have filed IP. We are currently in the PCT phase, and based on the search report, it's high probability that the patent is granted in all major cases. And also we have finished the prototype development together with University of Linz. And what are we looking now for is really endorsement of the idea. We want to build future partnerships for the development and commercialization, and also we're looking for early investment to finalize now the prototyping phase. From a team's perspective, we are a female founder team. So my colleague Monique Hunsbichler, she works for more than 25 years in the pharmaceutical environment. First, she worked for the NHL for really healthcare optimization, and myself, I'm also in pharmaceutical development since more than 15 years, development and innovation management. And with this, I went to finalize my talk and mention just this week we got a call from Jason Roberts, who is a professor from Australia, and he agreed to be on our medical advisory board. He's the leading scientist and expert in the antimicrobial resistance research field, and he said, I have to help them because it's an utterly important topic for the future. We have more and more resistant superbugs out there, so we need to do something, and our system helps to fight resistant superbugs.
Thank you. Questions from the jury team?
Very impressive. Thank you. So who is your customer on this? Is it the hospitals? Is it the patient? Insurance?
It depends a little bit on the country. So in the US, for example, there's an established home infusion market, and they have the system in place and the channels where you can sell it. So it's directly through home infusion centers. And in the US, we would target this market. But it's really a country-based approach where you would have your channels running.
You said you're asking for funding, so how much funding would you need for the market entry? And what would be the main topic you spend the first funding on?
So actually, we think about 4 stages. So first stage would us allow really to finish the prototyping phase and have all the development plans available. And for this phase, we ask for $1 million US. And for the next phase, we then think about 20 million, but then we would also start partnering with a big pharmaceutical company to really go into full development and have all the commercialization and production facilities ready to enter the market.
What dependency you have? So what are the challenges you are facing till you launch this product?
The challenges are, we have some challenges from a development perspective. Of course, it's a pharmaceutical product. We need to get all the regulatory approval. But still, from a risk perspective, we use existing molecules, and it's the technology we are developing. So it's kind of manageable risk, and we don't develop a completely new molecule, what is done usually in pharma with a much higher risk. So this risk is absolutely manageable. And the other risk is developing it still.
You said you're a team of 2, so what's your plans in terms of team growing? So what kind of profiles and competences are you looking for?
So we are currently looking for medical device experts, so if anyone is there in the audience, please let me know. I did not mention our medical team. We have already a medical team behind us. Just Jason Roberts joined this week. We have the medical, the anti-infectives medical lead from Sendo also as medical advisor in our board. So we have a good network in the pharmaceutical field who really support us to move this forward.
Maybe one final question?
Which country are you going to start with? Is it the US or is it in Europe?
US, UK, and Australia are our primary markets for the beginning.
And you said you filed a patent for both markets, or
we are in the PCT phase, so we are aiming for global, global countries, and mid of this year we have to decide which country we go for the first phase. And we have a second patent already in preparation, so we are just in the process of filing the second patent.
Thank you. And we have the 4th startup I'd like to welcome here on stage, Chargilize.
So hello, good evening. And the first questions I'm going to ask, how many of you did arrive with an electric vehicle at the ski area today? This is actually one of us. So this is, hello, this is where Chargilize comes in. So e-mobility is our market, and as we all know, it's the growing market for the next decade. It will change the automotive and the energy market totally. And of course, maybe the main problem, because you all said no, beside one person, is that it's a very complex decision. It's not only a new vehicle you're looking for, but it's you need to think about charging infrastructure, you need to have concerns about range, you need to have a new energy contract, you need to address like how long does it take till you can continue your drive. So this is where we are going to support. We want to support the e-driver in its e-journey. So this is starting from the awareness to repurchase. Currently we do have two main products, because we come from getting the value out of data. So data science is our USP. We are doing an electrification check. So if you start with us, you will afterwards know, can your driving profile match with an EV vehicle? And what do you need for it? And in a later stage, we have a second product, that's the tariff comparison. It says, how can you optimize your costs in public charging? So the electrification check is the ideal starting point for your e-journey. We just collect the data and see how you're driving, and we give you the perfect recommendation, what's the product you're needing. And in the later stage, we can also recommend what tariff is the right for your public charging. Because the public charging is so diverse, it is like really complicated for a driver to have the transparency on the pricing. So if you go to one charging point, you have by a 50% different prices depending on the provider you choose. So our business model is based on direct fees, customer fees, as well as white label solutions with variable costs per vehicle, analyzed vehicle. So our USP is clearly we have a very experienced team. We have successful startup founders in data science, and we have a long history in e-mobility market. So we have been consulting it for over 8 years now. We have two products that are ready for the market. I just started, and the first partnership with Webfleet, it's a very important partner for us, we have already started. Our go-to-market strategy is have strategic partnerships. I'm done. Okay.
Finish this one.
Okay. As I said, like we want to have strategic partnerships with the go-to-market strategy, and we also want to, with this first phase, validate KPIs with our direct marketing activities.
Thank you. Questions from the jury?
In terms of timelines, when you said you want to start with the electrification check and then with the individual e-mobility proposals, how far down the line are you, and how long does it take until you're on the market?
Actually, we are ready.
Great.
We are just serving the first customers.
Okay.
And what is the market? So who is your target group?
Our target group is B2C, as like you can do the electrification check as a private driver, but also the fleet managers. So all the companies have the need to get greener. So all the fleet managers have the challenge to change to electric vehicles, and it's really complex because usually they just know how to have new assets. They only see the driver when he gets the key, and then he sees them back like 3 years later. But now with the charging infrastructure, he is in continuous contact.
And you get a fee from these persons, you said, yeah? It's a one-time fee? So it's a fee for consulting?
It's a one-time fee for the electrification check, but the main potential for us is if we hand over the lead, because if the analysis is done, we have a clear recommendation for a brand, a car, and the charging infrastructure you need. So we can hand over to energy providers, we will hand over to OEMs, to leasing companies.
And they will pay you?
And they will pay the commission for us, yeah.
Okay.
So back to your customers, what is your sales and marketing strategy? How will you reach them?
Yeah, actually, this is the one we're going to start into now. So probably the online way, yes, but we also going to have traffic partnerships, like we have already discussed with big comparison portals, because they already have the traffic, and we are going to set on their traffic. So, but we also want to try the direct approach with the marketing.
Do you already have some pricing model for the individual or for companies?
Yes, we have. This is the KPIs we want to challenge in the first phase. Yeah, we do. So we have prices for what we are expecting a person to pay for the analysis, and we also have like what we're going to expect. We get for a commission for the car, for the charging infrastructure, for energy contract. Yeah, we do. You can have a close look into the business case.
Maybe one final question?
So who is your most important stakeholder and partner in this set? Obviously, it's the companies, the individuals, it's the electric suppliers, it's municipalities. Who is your closest partner on this?
I think the most interesting potential is on the vehicle sector, but also the energy providers. Now yet, they're not that focused on e-mobility. It's a small market for them, but in the future, it will be very interesting, because you will not only have a new contract for your car, but it's the potential that you totally change the energy provider, because you do not want to have a charging contract and have other energy contract at home. You will probably have one together. So this is the potential that's coming for the energy providers. So I think those two are the interesting ones.
Perfect. Thank you. So for you, it's time to do the last voting, and also I'd like to invite the audience again to do your votings. And when we are finishing all the votings, we will collect all the data here in the background. And meanwhile, I'd like to talk a bit also who are the heads behind Skinnovation. And first of all, I'd like to welcome Katrin. Let's talk a bit.
Hello.
Katrin is the founder. She is the power behind Skinnovation, and she has absolute willpower, and you showed power of endurance. After 2 years of cancelled events, you made it this year again, I would say, with a lot of instability, insecurity. You made such a great event. So how was it to organize Skinnovation 2022 for you?
Well, I think it's safe to say it was quite an entrepreneurial roller coaster ride. We started off in summer, all enthusiastically, like, yeah, it's happening again. Then, yeah, towards autumn, it became a little bit, yeah, risky again. And like then, yeah, after Christmas, we were almost about to cancel the event again. But I had a great team and also like some great partners, and we said, well, let's give it a try. We can't lose, and yeah, then we go ahead. And I think, yeah, now you're all here, so it's so great.
What are your plans for next year, Katrin?
Well, next year, I hope we have better times, and I have a big vision. Like, I think we are around 50 people here now this year in attendance for the live stream. And for next year, I'm planning to do this with 500 people and hopefully, like, yeah, a couple of days more.
Thank you so much, Katrin, for organizing. I think we're all very much looking forward to this event again. So thank you for your power, for your endurance. I think it's unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Thanks, and thanks for coming.
besides the power, besides the orchestration, it's also time to thank the sponsors behind, and one of the sponsors is the University of Innsbruck, and I have Johann here, Professor Füller, from the University of Innsbruck. So why is a university organizing such an event?
So isn't it fantastic to see all those happy faces? First of all, it's a great opportunity that university can provide such learning opportunities, not only to students but to all of us. And so it's not just reading out of the books, it's experiencing, it's learning something which is really valuable, and it's also needed and wanted. So that's one reason, and of course there are a couple of other reasons. Second, of course we can attract bright and smart people, and we also build a brand and a recognition as Innsbruck University, which you can also make it and build some new startups and ventures. And third, of course, we also have a mission as a university, because we do not only want to have the best alumni and contribute to additional knowledge, but the third mission is at the end, we want to keep the best people here. We want to support the ecosystem to build up new employment and of course also new opportunities. So I guess it's almost an obligation and a must for a university to be in this business. And thank you for the organizers. Thank you, Katrin. We are very proud having you and all the team and all being here, because it's a very good example showing that also university can contribute to such a great activity.
Maybe an additional question for you, because you are really a kind of a special professor. So you were once a professor, and on the other side you are running your own business, you are trying to build new startups. So what is it actually so special also from university as well as from your experience as entrepreneur, so that both sides can benefit from each other? So can you talk a bit more about having both sides and what are the takeaways?
Okay, so first of all, yes, it works. You can become an academic and a researcher and an entrepreneur. Would I advise you doing that? I mean, it depends how much suffer and pain you want to have in your life, but very often you study something and you develop a deep knowledge, and it's not just for doing research, but you think about what's the actual value, what's the kind of impact, and I strongly encourage you also then not only to keep with the academia if you want, or only to do a startup, but to see the benefits. Nevertheless, I mean, you need good team members and you need some people who are doing it full time, probably on both sides, because at a certain stage you recognize that both things are more than 100%, which kind of energy and also efforts are needed. So I would recommend it to you if you have good colleagues and if they really like to contribute knowledge, but also to show that it works and they make the difference.
Thank you. Thank you, Johann.
Thanks for having me.
We have another sponsor among us. It's Lisa Spöck from Startup Tirol. It's good to see you, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you too.
So, Lisa, you studied in Innsbruck, you stayed in Innsbruck, Tirol. Why should entrepreneurs, startups stay here?
Yes, I think all of you convinced yourself today about a very important argument for all the people here in the audience, but also on the screens, on the online audience. I'm not 100% sure if I'm looking in the right camera, but I will give it a try. And probably all of you have convinced yourself about the beautiful weather, the nature and the mountains, and of course these are great arguments for being here and also staying here. But there are other arguments too, like for founding a company. We have heard before Johann from the university, which means we're having great universities and education and great-minded people being here, and which is, of course, as we said before, a basis for creating a company as well. but we are also having a nice startup ecosystem, so to say, with around 200 startups and several startups institutions. Some of them have we met today, and we will also see later. And these institutions together support startups from the very early stage, also to a later stage, from the very beginning. And most of it is even for free. It's publicly funded. And of course, these are arguments, I would say, the combination of a good education, of supporting programs, of people, and of course, the great atmosphere and nature, having a great work-life balance. I think these are some arguments to found a company here in Tirol.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I have to say, I was also studying once at the university, and entrepreneurship was not covered at all. So I think I totally agree they build up, what you build up, what the Startup Tirol in terms of the ecosystem, it's tremendous. I mean, like 10 or 15 years ago, it was pretty like nothing. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
And we have another big sponsor, supporter of Skinnovation here. We already know him from the jury, Alex Koll, the host of today. Thank you again for having us here in this great location. Maybe can you tell a bit more what's exactly going on in the Werkstätte Wattens? What can we do here?
Well, thank you. Thank you all for coming. We are really glad of having you after 2 years of rather being very lonely here because of Corona. No, it is luckily people came here. Of course, they had to work, so we had a lot of people here. We have about 65 companies at this space, young companies, some a little bit more grown up. But our goal is to offer an environment that people, when they're starting off with an idea, they're starting off building a company, and they go through great programs, I think, that we have at Startup Tirol today. But they then, of course, need a space where they can discuss with their peers. They can grow, they can still learn, they can come to the next phase, and this is what we're trying to offer here and give people a chance to grow. And at the same time, we're not only focusing on the younger teams, the founders and the startups, but we also want to offer a chance for them to connect, to meet also with grown-up companies, to have certain programs to connect them together, because of course at one stage they need partners, they need to scale, they need money, of course, and so we're trying to bring this together here.
So you mentioned you were a bit lonely also over the last 2 years. So any big thoughts, any changes, new programs you developed while you were sitting alone here or almost alone?
Yeah, there were a few of us. No, thanks for asking. Yes, of course, we started to work on new programs. And there's a lot of things going on. I think everybody experiences it over the last weeks and months. It's been very intense and busy to start new initiatives, but maybe just to point out two of them. On the one hand, a program that we're doing together, especially with the Standardagentur Tirol, it's about creating a tech hub, a really technology hub in the Alpine region, where we're giving it a kickstart again after the Corona phase, and with new programs to find tech startups and innovative grown-up corporates that work together to work on solutions that are maybe very specific to the Alpine environment. So this is something very exciting, and here we have something coming up in springtime. And on the other hand, maybe to give another example, we're working together with the Impact Hub Tirol on a great impact program called Pioneer Impact, where we just opened the call for startups last week. So we're looking for startups that deal with ecotourism, mobility, regenerative farming, you name it, pro-peace initiatives maybe. That's something I think very important, more now than ever. So please come by, visit Pioneer Impact on this regard and subscribe. It's an accelerator for 1 year starting in June, and we're happy to have you.
Perfect, thank you. I got the very important message. I already looked into it. So they were doing the calculations, the evaluations, and now it's time to announce the winner. And I think I will also get some support from Yeti, I guess. We had 10 startups pitching in the elevator, in the ski lifts. We had 4 finalists, and now it's time to announce the winner. And welcome on the stage, Revive. Great, thank you. So now it's time to say again a special thank you to Katrin and her team. She has a fabulous team. The major heads also behind are Simon and Katrin, who were supporting Katrin all the time, and more than 20 volunteers. Thank you. Again, the University of Innsbruck, Sarah Matt-Leubner, I think she is also listening and following us online. Johann from the university, Lisa Spöck again from Startup Tirol, plus Markus Hofer, Alex from the Werkstätte Wattens, and further sponsors like the Incubator, Rails Love, the Global Incubator Network Austria, as well as Doppelmayr. So thank you for all. Thank you for coming, for showing up. Thank you for making this such a special event, Skinnovation 2022. Hopefully we enjoy a nice skiing day tomorrow. I think the weather will be fine, the slopes are great, and we have further networking, maybe further investing, further communication, and I think maybe it's also time to think about the next startups and also our next event, which will be next year from the 16th until the 18th of March 2023. So please all already check your calendar, type it in, and we will all see each other next year here again in Innsbruck. Thank you to all of you. Yeah.